Gentlemen and ladies, it is time for some new BigTuna content. Today, we're going to be talking about a pretty interesting topic, alright? I am all about inclusion, and one thing that's been irritating me in Dragonflight and for the past couple of years is that this talent right here, Windrush Totem, has seen little to no use in PvP combat for a very long time. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how we can make Windrush Totem a bit better, and just talk about general issues with a lot of our talent node options. Of course, if you agree with what I say and want to throw your own viewpoints, then of course, leave it in the comment section below. Maybe even like the video, and of course, consider subscribing, and let's get right into the video. No matter what iteration of the game, your talents have always been a balance between PvP and PvP, as those are the two aspects of the game. So Blizzard has to balance out all these talent points to make both players happy on both sides, which of course, in the meantime, you will have a bit of scuffles here and there that'll just kind of make, a lot of talents pretty much worthless in PvP and PvE. You'll have a lot of talents that are for PvE that when you're playing PvP, it's going to be pretty dead. It's going to be pretty lonely. You're going to have to put those talents somewhere else. All right, it sucks, but you know what? It's both versions of the game, so you kind of have to, work with what you got. And Blizzard does a pretty good job and has done a pretty better job as of nowadays to really separate and balance it out and smooth it out. But you do have some scuffles here and there. And one thing where that really does shine is your talent nodes, right? Talent nodes are the one new thing comparatively to older iterations of the game of talent trees, and talent nodes are the new thing within Dragonflight. Talent nodes where you have one talent over the other, pick one over the other, and unfortunately within Dragonflight it falls under the same issues that, again, the balancing between PvP and PvE is pretty prominent, where you have either your talent nodes be very one directional, or you have your talent nodes be literally nothing different from your actual regular talents, in the sense of they're going to be both, this one's going to be for PvP and this one's going to be for PvE. So I thought when I saw what talent nodes were, is that I thought they were going to be high value talents, where they're going to be good in their own rights in their own different situations. All right, a bad example of that is your Ascendance. There's no world where you'd ever want to pick on Demand Ascendance. It's 3-minute cooldown, 15 seconds. All right, it's good. It does a lot of damage. Ascendance does a lot of damage, but you get so many procs from deep-rooted elements that, like, Ascendance is not worth it for both PvP and PvE. So this is one of those one-directional talents. Whereas you have something like your Refreshing Waters versus your Focused Insight. All right, very, very good. Two very good options. All right, and are both really good and respectable in their own situations. If you're getting trained a lot, and you're on the back foot, like like you are as Enhancement Shaman in general, your healing surge is going to be 25% more effective on yourself passively by default. Don't have to think about it. Whereas if you're not getting trained too much and you can actually go for off heals, then you'd want to go for Focused Insight. Your Flame Shock is going to reduce the cost of your next heal by 20% and increase its effectiveness by 30%. All right, it's mana conservative, and it's a little bit of extra increased healing for whoever you want to heal. All right, they're both respectable and both very good in their own rights, in their own situations. But you also have something like Earthcraft Totem versus your Windrush Totem. All right, which is not only one directional, but again is one of those talents that, as I said before, it's PvE versus PvP. For PvP, you're always going to take Earthcraft Totem. All right, replaces your Earthbind Totem. 54-second cooldown, lasts a pretty long time. Every 2 seconds it pulses. It'll root enemies within 8 yards for 8 seconds, and enemies that have previously been rooted will be slowed by 50%. So it's just a better version of Earthbind Totem. That's for PvP. And then you have your Windrush Totem that is used for PvE. All right. 2-minute CD summons a totem at the target location for 15 seconds, continuously granting all allies who pass within 10 yards 40% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. All right, this is a persisting effect as well, kind of. All right, so this is a PvP versus a PvE talent, which sucks. All right, I don't like talent nodes being that way. I like talent nodes to be high in demand, high value. So where whichever scenario situation you're in, it's gonna be very valuable. All right, and this is one of those talents that, again, I just hate, because the OG version of it was 10 times better. The OG version of Windrush Totem was called Windwalk Totem, and Windwalk Totem was just 10 times better in every situation. So Windwalk Totem was a minute CD. It was at the feet of the caster, so it wasn't a target location totem. It was at the feet of the caster. 1 minute CD, and it was a raid wide cooldown. a raid-wide benefit cooldown, or totem. So basically, all raid members within 40 yards of the totem would be immune to all movement impairing effects. Alright? It was off GCD, alright, it was not affected by the global cooldown. Alright, it was great. 1 minute CD, raid-wide, movement impairing effects did not mean crap, you were immune to it. It was great. So you take that in comparison to Wound Rush Totem, it's pretty bad. Alright, it's pretty lame. And again, when it comes to talents like these, where it's like this one performs better in this situation, the other one performs better in this situation, you have to make sure that they're both highly competitive and they both are the same 50% 50-50. Alright? Again, which is why stuff like deep rooted elements and ascendants are really bad. How could you fix this? How could you make this better? Alright, because here's the main for PvP, through PvPers' eyes, this is how your talent node is supposed to work towards this one. It's supposed to be, do you want to stop your enemies from advancing and pushing and kiting, or do you want to help your team push and advance and kite? Alright, through Wound Rush Totem. So do you want to benefit your team, or halt and, you know, control the enemy team? Whichever one you want, whichever comp you're running, be it RBGs or, you know, or arena, whichever comp you're running, if you're elemental or your resto or your enhancement, like whichever one, you know, there are many factors to what would make your Wind Rush Totem or your Earthcraft Totem more valuable in situations. But of course, it's not like that, where your Earthcraft Totem is just going to be 100% taken 100% of the time. So how could you make Wind Rush Totem better? Alright? Well, you gotta actually talk about the faults of it first. Why is it bad? Why is it bad? Well, there are very few actual AoE movement speed increases. The movement speed increases in general are just kind of dog water in World of Warcraft. So the only other AoE movement speed increase is Stampeding Roar. And Stampeding Roar is way better. Stampeding Roar is on a 1 minute cooldown through a talent. Its radius is 15 yards instead of 10 yards. It lasts for 8 seconds. And it grants your allies 60% movement speed instead of 40%. So it's better in every way, shape, or form. To its cooldown, to its radius, to its duration, to the actual percentage effect. It's just 10 times better. Alright? And the problem with movement speed increase is that it has to either be the movement speed increase is actually big, so minimum 60%, or it has to have a secondary effect. Disengage. 40% movement speed. Whenever you disengage, it removes you out of roots and snares and all that good stuff. Alright? Stampeding Roar, I already talked about. It's AoE, it's 60% movement speed for all your allies. 60% is literally mount speed. Alright? Very, very good. Tiger's Lust, 30-second cooldown. Grants you 60% movement speed and removes all snares and roots. Alright, a lot of your movement speed increases in WoW have secondary effects, or the actual movement speed itself is just a lot higher than 40%. So how could you make this better? Alright, one thing would be to make it 1 minute CD. 1 minute CD. 2 minute CD comparatively to, again, the 1 minute CD or Earthcraft Totem is already, boom, red flag. Already, I'm watching too much TikToks, alright? Watching too much Instagram. It's already a red flag, alright? 2 minute CD for just 40% movement speed? That is so bad. It needs to be a 1 minute CD. That's the least you could do to make this talent actually worth taking. 1 minute CD, alright? What else can you do? Alright, the target location 15 seconds, alright, it's pretty standard. Continuously granting all allies who pass within 15 yards of your totem. Alright, 15 yards is how it should be. Alright, totems have short ranges, short effects. Alright, the addition of totem projection, or the re-addition of totem projection, is obviously really good to help your totems just move them, and of course people can easily walk out of them because your totem radius is very short. Alright, and totemic focus does not help with that at all. Alright, totemic focus like increases your totem range or your totem radius by like -1%. Alright, it's bad. It's bad for the actual radius increase. It does not increase it at all. Alright, I'm telling you now. Okay, so 15 yards, take it or leave it. Alright, 15 yards for your team, I think it's pretty good. Alright, it could stay 10 yards. I think the 15 yards is obviously me just being greedy. So it could stay 10 yards, but 15 yards is obviously pretty cool. But that's just me being greedy. 40% increased movement speed for 5 seconds, but allies who stay within your Wind Rush Totem will not be slowed beyond at least 80%. Alright, there are very few abilities that actually work as cannot be slowed beyond X amount. One of them being Ghost Roof. You cannot be slowed beyond 100% movement speed, normal movement speed when you're in Ghost Roof. Same thing with Death's Advance for Death Knights, alright? They cannot be slowed beyond 70% normal movement speed, alright? And the reason why I added that effect, because again, here's the thing, they're never going to add Windwalk Totem back into the game. That's just sad. Alright, it's sad, it's the truth, they're never going to add it back into the game. Ever since Shadowlands, when they said, hey, we're going to add a lot of older abilities from you know, like older versions of the game, obviously they baited that hella hard because they just added a lot of those random talent points that you spent when you were 16, had all the gold in the world, and you just kind of wanted to have every single ability in your spell book. Alright, they just added those random talents to your talent trees or to your spell books. All right, like it was just so lame and so disappointing that like they really aren't going to do it anymore. So they're not going to add Windwalk Totem back into the game. So the reason why I'm saying the cannot be slowed beyond X% is to at least make it a bit different from Windwalk Totem. Whereas Windwalk Totem just completely makes your raid immune to movement impairing effects. Whereas Windrush Totem would make it so you cannot be slowed beyond X amount of percent. At least 80%. Alright, at least 80% normal movement speed. Anybody who's in your Windrush Totem will not be slowed beyond 80%. Alright, so 1 minute CD, last 15 seconds, 15-yard radius, 40% movement speed increase, and cannot be slowed beyond 80%. That's what I would like to see for Windrush Totem to be actually viable, because again, as I said before, that's what I want to see talent nodes be useful for, to be useful in its own situations, and to actually make it so you'd want to pick this one over this one when the situation calls for it. Alright, do you want to have control over their team, or do you want to have benefit to your team? It's up to you. And whatever comp you're running for, let's say RBGs, if you're running a heavy melee comp, then great, dude. Having your melee be able to move and easily bulldoze to their team is great. If you're running, turbo cleave, like again, you and your warrior can just easily bulldoze through with your Windrush Totem, great. If you're playing, Ellie Locke, or Ellie Frost Mage, whatever, you can have your Windrush Totem on your Frost Mage, whoever's getting trained, and they can move a bit more freely. Like it'll be so much, it'll actually make it competitive comparatively to, just having your Earthcraft Totem just be the #1 pick. Alright, I don't like being constantly locked into one talent or one build the entire time. It's just pretty lame and it's pretty sad. It's pretty boring. So that's what I would like to see Windrush Totem, be added. So that's what I would like to see for Windrush Totem to be valuable, but that's just me. If you have your own viewpoints, you can leave in the comments. But boys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Links in the description if you want to see more BigTuna content. And of course, you gotta like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, hopefully I see you guys in the next life. Peace.